If you bought a brand new high-end mountain bike, you probably just got scammed hard. And this is the thought process behind it. How much research and developments are these companies actually putting into these bikes? Because whenever I hear mountain bike bros claim that, oh, it's expensive because all the research and development that went into making this thing and it's just the best of everything. Well, if all that research and development, they must be wasting a lot of time. And I'll explain why in a second. First of all, let's just take a look at this. This bike would have been $5,000 in 2014. But if you got the best version of this bike, it's actually closer to $10,000 in 2014, and that's without adjusting for inflation. So the difference between the mid and the best is the best has the carbon frame, which is arguably worse. It cracks, it splinters, it chips. The durability is just bad. Remember the Titan submarine? So you're paying more money for less durability and it's just a few ounces lighter. Doesn't seem like they put too much research and development into that, because if they had actually researched it, they would have just optimized a steel or aluminum frame, because on paper, I think it is truly better. And those couple of ounces that you save, well, just go poop before you go on a race. You're going to save more weight. But truly just think about, the suspension, the brakes, the frame, everything. Not that much. There's not that many components here. You've got very simple shifters. You've got very simple air suspension, front and rear. And this stuff has been around for literally decades and really hasn't been improved upon that much, because once you keep trying to improve something that is near perfection, and there's really not much you can improve, you're splitting hairs. I mean, you almost can't prove that the $10,000 version is faster than the $5,000 version unless you put a professional on both and the variables are exactly the same every race, which is pretty much scientifically impossible to prove unless the times are far enough apart. But so this is what $10,000 gets you if you're into mountain bikes as a hobby. And this is what $10,000 gets you if you're into motorcycles as a hobby. So this is the KTM 690 Enduro. And just look at the frame. This frame is a lot harder to design than this frame. A 6-year-old could have made that in CAD in like 5 minutes. Yeah, it's not super optimized, but I mean, you really can't change too much on a mountain bike frame. But look at this. KTM went crazy. They probably had several hundred engineers going back and forth, designing this and researching it for months and months, probably years and years, actually. And not only the frame, but just look at these brakes. Just by raw material alone, you could say, wow, of course this is more expensive. But they always claim research and development is why mountain bikes are expensive. Well, these are Brembo brakes, some of the best brakes available, floating caliper also, some of the best brakes available for motorcycles that you can even put on a bike. And somehow that costs less than this? Also, just think about, you have to design an entire internal combustion engine that has cutting edge technology. You have to design a gearbox that mates up to that engine. You have to design the swing arm, the gear selector, the foot pegs, everything. Not only that, but you have to design a fueling system that fuels the engine perfectly. You have to design a computer that tells exactly when to send spark and fuel into the engine. You have to figure out the most optimized place to ground that engine so the electronics work correctly. You have to design an ignition system. You have to design a dash, a tachometer, a speedometer, keep track of the miles. You have to route all of your cables. And this is a hydraulic clutch, the best of the best of the best that you can buy. You have to figure out which brand makes the best hydraulic clutch. How are you going to integrate that hydraulic clutch into your bike? You have to figure out where you're going to put the gas tank. If you put it in the rear, what's the weight distribution? How big can you make the tank? You have to design taillights, turn signals, exhaust. You have to design so much more. And you're going to make the argument that this thing has just as much research and development, actually a lot more research and development, because we also have to account for raw material cost. So you're telling me essentially that this has 5 times more research and development than this, with thousands of times more components. So the point is, stop buying expensive mountain bikes. It's obviously not worth the price.